in a relationship with someone, do you believe in a 50-50 household?
I believe what God says
Yes.
on how to be in a relationship. The thing is, your preference is your preference. Most people don't look at Proverbs 31 and see what a virtuous woman is.
Yes.
They even see the word work
Yeah.
out of a woman. It's like, oh, nah, like, okay, now I don't believe in the Bible. A virtuous woman,
She up early. She goes to sleep late.
literally, a wife is a gift from God. He who findeth the wife findeth the good thing. But the problem with that phrase in itself, to people's understanding, women think that's right. The man is supposed to pursue. The man is supposed to do this because, you know, he who findeth the wife findeth the good thing. You're supposed to already be wife-like before you're being discovered. That's why God tells you, like, hey, women, before you get married, this is how you're supposed to act. So that way, if a man walks out and he sees you, you're already a good thing that I've sent. But if a man has to go out to, I got to pay for this date, I just think logically, like, hey, I ain't got it like that. And the fact that you're putting these expectations on the first date is crazy.
But I'm not talking about the first date. I'm talking about bona fide, qualified. You love this woman. Do you want to have a 50-50 household with the bills? Not dates, not gifts, not trips.
With the bills.
With the bills.
It depends on what you both do for a living. Because if I'm a billionaire, what else I'm gonna do with the money? But I'll ask you this, or the women out here.
Okay.
What are you doing with your time before you even get married?
Yeah.
What are you doing with the money, the hair salon you've been trying to put together, the little daycare you running, the little hustling on the side? You done made all this money. You done went to hair school and all this extra stuff. Where's all that money going once you get married? Because now it's like, hey, if you're making more than your husband, logically, it just makes sense to, okay, well, I'll take care of this, or you take care of this. But men get looked at as what the Bible says, you guys are supposed to be the provider. Then what are you supposed to do? I'm just supposed to sit here and look pretty. You not even pretty. Like, all that stuff is, you do know I wake up to you. Okay. I sound triggered, but I'm not triggered. I promise you I'm not triggered. It's just like the thought process of like this whole 50-50, like who goes what on the bill. Somebody better pay something, or it ain't gonna be nothing to go half and half or hold on.
Damn.
Not gonna lie, don't know much about the godly way. You know, while I may identify as Christian, I don't actually practice the faith the way that one should. So I believe in God or whatever, but I just move normal. I got with my wife. We had to get shit done. We had kids. She had a kid before me. So I got with her, and did I necessarily know what that meant when she moved in with me, when we got together? No. But we grew together. We had my son, and it was just constant moving forward, constant goal making, constant just getting through life. I love this woman like she I don't know, is get with somebody and get through life. All like this like, and the thing is that when you talk to real people, this is the reality. This is the reality when you talk to real people. Most people do with one another. They do what's necessary to get the house going, to keep the house together. Depending on how much you work in or outside the house is how much you're going to do in the house or how much you're going to do outside the house. This is most people. So why is it that we have these conversations on a regular basis about what should or shouldn't have to, or what should or shouldn't go, when in reality, you got to live. Bills need to be paid. You got to live. That's why I was trying to explain to Chanel. Life happens your entire life. The entire life. My wife just lost her best friend less than a month ago. Or no, about a couple months ago. I just lost my uncle a couple months ago. Life gonna happen your whole entire life. Find somebody to get through life with and do what's necessary to keep it together.
All right, I'm gonna go to you, Balance. What are your thoughts about what he said, seeking a partnership in a godly way?
Uh, okay, so I feel this way about a lot of men on social media that the men should be speaking to the men. I find on social media a lot of times the men want to speak to the women a lot. And it's like if you guys highly respect marriage, like men say they do, and it's usually single men talking, but they talk about how they respect marriage so much. They should, if they do, they should be married or seeking marriage, and they should be teaching men the same thing. Like I don't understand why constantly we have single men trying to tell women how to be wives. It's very odd. Like honestly, just logically, it's odd. A single man can never teach a woman how to be a wife. So I don't understand the purpose of these podcasts. I don't understand the purpose of these men telling women how to be wives. I mean, are their moms wives? Do they have wives? I think men should talk to other men about how to be great husbands, and they should be practicing how to be a great husband. That's really how I feel about it.
Okay. Um, I got a question, a follow-up question. Do you think that men that have been divorced, do you think that they're qualified to speak on marriage?
100%. I love listening to Hank speak. I love listening to his experiences, what he learned. He's a man that has been divorced. He owns up to his mistakes as a man should. Like just to get some men to do that is hard. Like just to say it was my fault, right? It takes a real man to do that, to have the strength to say, my marriage felt because I did this, it was my fault, but I want to do better this time. I want to be that example for my children and do it correctly this time. That's what a man should be doing. Like, he shouldn't be on here talking about a woman should be a wife like this. That's weird. Like, I don't know any men that can teach a woman how to be a good wife. Like, as a leader, you lead her. You lead her, okay? So that means do your part, not tell her how to do hers, but do yours well. And her mentors and her mother should be teaching her how to be a wife. If it's not her biological mother, it should be a spiritual mother. Somebody teaching her that is a woman and a wife from experience, not a man telling a woman how to be a wife. But yeah, men that have been divorced are great. They have a plethora of experience. And I think, especially if they have the desire to do it right this time, they're great teachers. And they should be teaching other men.
Balance, you know why these spaces exist now? Like the
What
underlying reason? You want to know the underlying reason why, like
which
these,
what is this?
the YouTube space where like all of these podcasts have been birthed from?
Go ahead, tell me.
Because women asked.
Women ask men to tell them how to be wives.
No, women ask men, why aren't they insert thing? Why aren't men doing this? Why don't men love us? Why don't men and men began to explain. And now, granted, I'll agree with you. There are some spaces out here that are very toxic, but the overarching reason why they all exist is because we were asked. Even if you go on TikTok right now, they're asking that one of the biggest complaints is why all these singles events are 95% women and why aren't men showing up? Why aren't men asking women on dates anymore? Why aren't men approaching? Why aren't men getting married? Why aren't men committing? Why aren't men this? And y'all used to do it in books that we didn't read, like Cosmopolitan magazine and all that shit. But once y'all went to YouTube and TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and started asking these questions, we saw the question, so we was like, all right, well, let's answer it.
It's a difference though between asking a man why he's not married or ready for marriage and asking him how to be a wife. Those are two very different things.
Well, if you ask somebody, hey, why aren't you doing this thing for me? And they say, well, I'm not doing this thing for you because you're not this. Why aren't you getting married? Because you're not a wife. Well, what is a wife? Well, to me, a wife is XXXXX.
But why are you telling a woman that's not married that she's not a wife? Like, I don't understand this part. You know, when I hear guys say that, you know, for actually like to answer a question that was asked earlier, like when is a sign you can tell when a guy is not ready? I met a guy, I was dating him, and I usually never friend guys that I date on social media. But that was the first time that I went ahead and, dated him off of Facebook. And we had a lot of mutual friends. And some guy commented on my post. I hearted it and said, thank you. And this asshole gonna say to me, a wife wouldn't respond to a guy at all. What? And in my mind, I'm thinking, like, what are you talking about? Like, we ain't married, first of all. But what do you mean a wife wouldn't respond to a guy and heart his comment? To me, I thought that was the craziest thing I ever heard. I was like, you talking about on a social media? My marriage was different. So when I hear stuff like this, I'd be like, wow, no, you not know. Like if you're gonna pick arguments with me over something like that, you don't know about marriage.
Not only that, but I want to say a lot of times we hear men saying women aren't wives and she's not submissive or she's not this, but do we believe that just because a man is a man, he's a husband?
Nope. Y'all call men useless every day.
I don't. I've never called a man useless.
I'm not saying y'all as in you personally. I'm saying y'all as in.
I get it, but I'm speaking for myself and I was still speaking, but thank you. What I'm saying is when it comes to a lot of men that we see on these podcasts, what automatically makes them husbands and automatically say that a woman is not a wife? That's the part that's a little strange to me. Like, just like we could say every woman's not a wife, we could say every man's not a husband, right?
Right.
So it makes no sense for us as women and men to be on these social media platforms saying what somebody isn't. How about you take all that energy and go find your person and go find what you're looking for instead of wasting it saying what this woman isn't or what this man isn't. And I'm speaking to both sexes.
Well, then if that's the case, then we might as well, if we followed your logic, then none of these spaces would exist. But that's kind of what people do. We get online and we have conversations. Just like when I said that women call men useless, I wasn't talking about you per se, but literally on The View, they were up there calling men useless, and that's a nationally syndicated television show dedicated towards women. So the same way
useless to what? What do you mean?
They said that men are useless in general. We have no use.
Useless to women?
Yes.
Useless to marriage?
Useless to women. So
I will have to watch that because The View is definitely very detailed on their objectives. So I'll have to go back and watch that.
They're very left leaning, very far.
But like to the point though is that again, men created this space because we were getting asked why we weren't doing certain things, and we answered the question. Now, and like I said, it's kind of like as you go on, the more questions you ask, the more answers you're gonna get. The reason why they tell you whether you're a wife or not is because they ask, well, why aren't you marrying us? And then they said, well, you're not a wife. And then they say, well, what makes a wife? And then they tell you, hey, to me, this is what makes a wife. And whether you agree with it or not is here nor there. But just like if men started asking women, why aren't y'all sleeping with us? You'll say, hey, because you're not attractive. Well, how do you figure that I'm not attractive? Well, you're not attractive because you're this, that. You're creepy. You're this, you're that. You're not asking us the right questions on dates. You're not putting us in the right position. You're not making us feel safe. When we ask questions of women and they answer them, some men get upset, but the reality is y'all going to give a response and y'all going to tell us exactly what the fuck is wrong with us. Just like if y'all ask us questions regarding things that we don't do for y'all, we're going to get up and tell y'all what the hell y'all do to us and what's wrong with y'all. It's natural human interaction. The only thing is that this is a public space. I'm with Chanel that I don't agree with people unsolicitedly walking into people's personal space and just running up on them and saying, you're not a wife. That's weird. But in a public space like Lapeef Network or a lot of these podcasts, when you got groups of people that come together and have these conversations about these things, the topics come up because we see people make TikTok videos and social media platforms that go viral, asking a specific question. And then all the men who have podcasts answer the question that went viral. Or vice versa.
I just don't understand how. I get it. I mean, people's perspective is people's perspective. But if you've never been married before, and you come from a single parent home, but you know what a wife is supposed to be, I just think you know what it is you want your wife to be. And when a guy says that's not a wife, because you don't know, you ain't never been married before. I feel like a man that's been married before is very entitled to say what a wife is, because it's going to be based on he was married before. So you kind of assume you give them that grace that they know what a wife is, not somebody that in their mind, this girl that I'm dating, she needs to show me all the wifely duties right now. she may not even think to see you as a husband. And women follow a man's lead. You know, the way you treat a woman, the way she gonna fall in and do her spot. So she might not be acting like a wife to you because you ain't doing what you're supposed to do.